I'm Jessica Miller, 35 years old, and I've been dreading this family meeting for months. My siblings, Michael and Courtney, have always had a way of making me feel small with their subtle jabs about my modest lifestyle. What they don't know is that the tech security company I built from scratch just sold for millions. But I chose to drive a 10-year-old car and live simply, because possessions have never defined me. Michael is 40, a Harvard grad with a Manhattan corner office and a vacation home in Martha's Vineyard. Courtney, 28, married Ryan, heir to a regional banking fortune. Meanwhile, I'm the middle child who never fit their mold. While they were high school royalty, I was building websites for small businesses in Maplewood, Ohio. When I skipped college to pursue entrepreneurship, my parents reacted with disappointment and predictions of failure. Now, after a decade away, I'm flying home to discuss care for our ailing parents. They think they're about to see a struggling sister barely making ends meet. They have no idea what's about to land in their front yard. The morning of my flight, I stood in my downtown Chicago loft, deliberately choosing my most understated clothes, faded jeans, a sweater with a hole at the cuff, worn sneakers. My assistant, Margot, eyed me like I was insane. "You're worth $50 million, and you're dressed like a broke grad student." "They expect me to show up like this," I told her. "I'm not ready to break the image just yet." On the commercial flight to Columbus Regional Airport, I thought about why I'd kept my success secret. In business, being underestimated gave me the upper hand. With family, it meant avoiding their judgment. But underneath, the truth was raw. Their early dismissal of my dreams had hurt deeply. Every time Michael or Courtney offered me old clothes or hinted at paying my rent, it reinforced their narrative that I had failed. By the time the plane touched down, I still hadn't decided if I'd tell them the truth. But something told me they were going to force my hand. The taxi ride through Maplewood felt like stepping back in time, the same diner where Dad took us after church, the same park where I'd first imagined starting a business. The white colonial house, with blue shutters, looked just as it had when I left. Michael answered the door in cashmere and pressed slacks. "Finally," he said, checking his expensive watch. "Did your flight get delayed, or did you take the bus from the airport?" Inside, Mom greeted me warmly, but with that concerned glance at my sweater. "Are you eating enough on your budget? You know you can always call us if you need help with groceries." Dinner that night was catered, Michael's arrangement, and before long, Courtney swept in with Ryan, her arms full of designer shopping bags. She gave Dad expensive scotch, Mom a silk scarf, Michael a leather portfolio, and me a gift card to a mid-range clothing store to help with job interviews. I smiled and pocketed it. If they thought I was broke now, they were about to choke on their own assumptions. Over dinner, the conversation revolved around their achievements, Michael's promotion, Courtney's charity gala, Ryan's golf win at the country club. When they turned to me, it was always with gentle concern. "What is it you do again?" Courtney asked. "Small business solutions," I replied vaguely. Michael leaned in. "I know a few people who might need basic websites. Nothing major, but it could give you some steady income." I bit my tongue. My basic websites company had just been acquired for $50 million. Then came the real reason for the visit, Mom's hip, Dad's dementia, and the expensive care facilities Michael had researched. "Stephanie and I will cover most of it," he said. "You can chip in, whatever you can manage. Even $500 a month would help." They hadn't even asked if I could afford more, they'd already decided I couldn't. And that's when I started planning exactly how to prove them wrong. Michael's voice carried that same helping the helpless tone. "By the way, my firm has an entry-level marketing position opening up. A real job would give you stability and benefits." Courtney nodded eagerly. That could be perfect for you. Then Michael added, do you even own a car these days? I noticed you took a taxi from the airport. Their comments weren't just assumptions, they were insults wrapped in pity. And that's when I made a decision. I need to make a quick call, I said, pulling out my phone. Michael frowned. Now's not the time. But I was already dialing Margot. Is everything set? Good. Arrive in 15 minutes. When I hung up, I looked at my siblings. Not exactly a taxi, I said. And in 15 minutes, they'd find out exactly what I meant. Michael scoffed. I researched every facility worth considering. This one isn't listed, I said calmly. They only accept private clients through their foundation. And you know this how? Courtney smirked. Because I funded it. Before they could laugh, the deep thrum of helicopter blades filled the air. The sound grew louder until it was unmistakable. What on earth? Mom gasped. I walked to the door just as a sleek black helicopter descended onto the front lawn. The pilot waved to me. You said I can't afford a car, I told Michael. You were right. I prefer this. Mom fainted. Michael's jaw dropped. Courtney clutched Ryan's arm. And this was only the first shock of the day. An hour later, the helicopter touched down on my 30-acre estate outside town. I had bought the historic 10-bedroom mansion when I decided to open a regional office nearby. As we stepped inside, my siblings stared at the grand staircase, the crystal chandelier, the lake views. This is yours. Mom whispered. Yes. I founded Parker Security Solutions 8 years ago. 6 months ago, we were acquired for just over $50 million. I retained leadership and equity. Silence. Michael went pale. Courtney flushed. You let us believe you were broke, Michael said finally. I didn't let you, I corrected. You assumed. Every time I tried to talk about my work, you dismissed it as that computer thing Jessica does. Now they were sitting in the middle of that computer thing. Margot brought over a portfolio with documents, the trust I'd set up for my parents, the care facility plans, and the legal protections for their future. I funded Westbrook Senior Health, I explained. It's ready for Mom and Dad whenever they want. Michael's voice softened. I owe you an apology. I judged you because I needed you to fail. It validated my own choices. Courtney admitted her own facade. My life looks perfect, but Ryan and I have been in counseling. The charity galas feel empty. For the first time, we were having a real conversation, no posturing, no judgment, just truth. And I realized the biggest shock of all was yet to come. We toured the estate, then sat by the lake with coffee. My parents listened as all three of us spoke openly about our lives, the successes, the regrets, the doubts. This is the first time I feel like we're equals, Michael said. It's the first time I've been honest with you, I replied. By dinner, something had shifted. They were asking about my work with curiosity instead of skepticism. I admitted my helicopter stunt was a bit extra, which got a laugh from everyone. And just like that, the walls I'd built for a decade began to crack. The next morning, we had breakfast together in the estate's sunlit dining room. Mom asked about the care facility, Courtney offered to volunteer there, and Michael was considering leaving corporate life to teach. Before they left, Mom asked, will you come for Sunday dinner next week? Nothing fancy, just family. I'd love that, I said. As the helicopter carried my parents home, I stood on the terrace, realizing the real victory wasn't proving them wrong, it was finally being seen for who I am. True wealth isn't helicopters or estates. It's authentic connection with the people who matter most. And sometimes, you have to shatter the image they've built of you, just so they can see the real you. If you've ever been underestimated, drop a comment sharing your story. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because success comes in many forms, and yours might be just around the corner.